Hello everyone. So in this video we will see the derivation of treatment start date, which is date of first exposure to treatment start. So this video series is part of derivation of key date variables which are commonly used in ADSL dataset. In the earlier two videos we have seen how to derive informed consent date, and the second one was RANDT, which was nothing but the date of randomization. For these two dataset variables we have used disposition dataset as input. And now for this treatment start date, we will be using exposure dataset as input. Let us go through the specification which is given to us. So it says using DS dataset, get TRTSDT as the numeric of date part of EXSTDTC of the earliest record of a subject where EXCAT is equal to treatment period. So this is the basic definition or the derivation logic for TRTSDT creation. So we have some additional notes also given in the specification. Let us go through that. It says this date will be missing, which is TRTSDT will be missing if the subject has not been exposed to study treatment for any reason. Okay, if the subject did not take any treatment in the study yet, then there will be no record in the EX dataset with the provided filter condition. So the date can be missing in that case, or in case the team fails to capture the data in the EX dataset. For some reason, if there is a raw data issue or SDTM programming issue, if we do not have a record in EX dataset with the specified filter condition, in that case also we'll have the treatment start date as missing. So some details are being provided here. It says subset the records from EX dataset with the above condition, and then we are being asked to sort the records based on U sub JD and EXSTDTC and pick the earliest non-missing date. So let us come back to the data and manually try to identify the TRTSDT for the subjects we have been seeing so far. So in our demographics dataset, we had three subjects, 1001, 1002 and 1003. And now let us come to our exposure data. So we have exposure data for few subjects, and if you take a look at the EXCAT variable, we have run-in period exposure information and treatment period exposure information. So from the specification, we were asked to use only the records which are coming from treatment period records. So let us try to apply the filter for EXCAT is equal to treatment period. So we have two records, one record coming for each subject, but as per the derivation, we are also supposed to take a look at the earliest of the record. So if we have more than one record, the first date from EXSTDTC should have been used. But in this case, we only have one record for each subject. This itself will become the earliest date. And for the second subject, which is 1003 in this data, we only have one record, so this itself will become the earliest date. So the treatment start dates for the two subjects 1002 and 1003 will be 7th December 2011 and 4th October 2011. So these are the treatment start dates for the two subjects. If we take a look at the first subject, the subject didn't have a record in EX, so which means the subject will not have TRT SDT. So that's why we have TRT SDT as blank for this subject. So if we take a closer look at the previously derived variable, the subject has signed the informed consent but was not randomized. Generally, as per the process, the subject will only be treated after they are randomized. So for the same reason, the TRT SDT could be missing because the subject is not randomized yet. So now let us take a look at the programming approach of how to implement this specification. The logic is to get the earliest record from the records which are meeting the filter condition, and then process the EXSTDTC variable to extract the numeric date portion and then convert it into numeric. So here is the sample code that can be used to apply the filter condition. So here within the proc sort step, I am using the where statement to get only the required records. So the required filter condition was excat is equal to treatment period, and we also had to check for the non-missing exposure dates because we are trying to get the earliest date, because if date is missing on a particular record, that cannot be considered. So we are fetching only the records which has a valid date. And then we are also sorting the records based on use sub JD and exposure start date. We also should keep in mind that the dates are, though in SDTM or in character format, they can be used for sorting the records in a chronological fashion, which means that the earliest records would always come on the top even if we sort the records based on the DTC variables. So we are applying that logic, and the subsetted records are being fetched into a dataset called TRTSDT01. And then that dataset is being used as an input in the second data step, and we are creating a dataset named TRTSDT. So we are using by statement here. So whenever we specify by statement, which means that we are asking SAS to process the data in terms of groups. So groups would be created for subject and also exposure start date. So two automatic variables would be created for use sub JD, that will be first dot use sub JD and last dot use sub JD. And similarly, as we have specified exstdtc, so two additional temporary variables would also be created, which is first dot exstdtc and last dot exstdtc. But as we are interested in only processing at subject level, we would need first dot use sub JD and last dot use sub JD records. So as we have sorted the records based on subject ID and exstdtc, the earliest record would come on top for each subject. So we are employing this subsetting if statement, which is if first dot use sub JD, and then only the records, the first record of each subject would be subsetted, and all these lines of code would be executed only if the condition first dot use sub JD is met. So if it doesn't meet, the code goes back and fetches the next observation. So after that, what we are trying to achieve is we are if checking if the date is not missing again, and then applying the condition. So here we were asked to extract only the date portion. So we know that as per SDTM standard, the first 10 characters in a DTC variable correspond to the date value. So we are using substrn to extract that first 10 characters. And we also know that the date component in ISO to DTC format is in the form of 4-digit year, 2-digit month, and 2-digit day with a hyphen in between. So the overall width of this date component would be 10. So we are using this in format, which is YYMMDD10 dot, to convert that to numeric format again. So similar to what we have done in the earlier videos, we know that the SAS stores dates in the form of number of days from 1st Jan 1960. So that number would be not readable like in a human friendly manner. So we are applying a format of date9 to that newly created TRTSDT variable. As we only need these two pieces of information, of which is subject ID and TRTSDT, we are keeping only those two variables in this dataset. So like what we have done in the earlier videos, we can merge this TRTSDT dataset to our demographics dataset or any other base dataset which already had some other derived variables added on to have our TRTSDT populated. So let us execute this code and see. So if you take a look at the first dataset, which was created from the proc sort step, which was TRTSDT01. So in this step, we were only filtering for the records which were coming from EX, which had non-missing EXSTDTC and also corresponding to treatment period. So we had those two records, and then we subsetted the earliest record and then converted the EXSTDTC from that into TRTSDT. So from our previous manual exploration, we have found that the dates were 7 December 2011 and 4th October 2011 for 1002 and 1003 respectively. So let us see if we have the same dates programmatically obtained, 7 December and 4th October. This seems to be correct. So this is how we can derive our treatment start date in ADSL programming.